Welcome back from spring break. This lesson's called Go Fish, and you'll see why in just a second here. But today we're going to work on some volume concepts. Nothing that you haven't done before, but this is kind of going to set us up for a multi-day activity of sorts, I guess we'll call it, where you're going to actually get to plan out your own aquarium with fish and obviously water and different dimensions, and you're going to have a couple different tanks to choose from. So today we're going to focus on finding the volume and the area of some of these tanks because we're going to use both of those measurements to determine just how many fish we could put into whatever tank we end up choosing. Okay, so here's tank A. This one's called Underwater Adventure, and over here you can see the 3D version of that tank. And then here you have the top view. So like this rectangle would be the bottom of the tank there, like that, with those dimensions. Um, Quick reminder, volume. The formula for volume is length times width times height. And in terms of which of these dimensions is length and which is width, for this, it's not really going to matter. I mean, and it all depends on how the tank is turned. So I'll keep whichever. Like if so, we'll pick 36 for length and 12 for width, and we're just going to keep those throughout. Um, but it really doesn't matter because you're multiplying, and the order is not important here. Um, but okay, so to find first the area, which would just be the bottom of the tank. So to find the bottom of that tank, we would take our 12 and multiply that by 36 to get our area. Now, if you think about this, making an estimate here, um, what would be a good estimate for this area? Take a second there and think about that, and then when you're ready, unpause and keep going with the video. Okay, so many of you, I imagine, did an estimate that did something like 10 times 36, which would give us 360, based on what we know about multiplying by 10. So keep that in mind as we multiply through here, and you can go ahead and work through this yourself um, on a scrap sheet of paper if you have it. I'll give you a second to grab that here. You can pause if you need to. Okay, so 6 times 2 gets us 12, so we put down the 2 and we carry the 1 group of 10. 6 times 1 is 6, plus the 1 we carried gives us 7. When we go to a new line, we have to add our magic 0, and then we're done with the 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 1, we already did that, 3 times 1 gives me 3. So from here, you should already be able to tell that our estimate is pretty close, because if you think about it, the 360, so this one over here represents a group of 10 because it's in the tens place, so when we multiply the 30 and the 6, or excuse me, the 3 and the 6 times this group of 10, we get our 360, and then when you multiply 36 times 2, you get 72, and then when you add those up, 13, carry the 1, we get 432, and remember to include inches, and because it's area and we multiplied 2 dimensions, it's going to be inches squared. So we multiplied 2 different dimensions, length and width. That tells us that our units are squared. So our area for this tank is 432 inches squared. All right, now I'm going to have to jump back and forth here between the pictures. Actually, no, I don't. I'm going to make another copy of this picture so we can see it over here. Okay, so now we're going to go and find the volume for tank A. And for volume, you have a couple options. So you can do your length times width times height. Or, remember, we have another formula for volume, which is base times height. And if you remember, base just refers to this bottom area. This down here is the base. See if I can write that in there. Yeah, sure we can. So we already have the base right here. So we could use that if we wanted to. Or we could go and multiply 36 times 12 times 9. I'm a fan of using the work we've already done. So we're going to take 432, which is our base area, and multiply that times 9. Okay, so go ahead and work through this once on your own, and then when you're ready, unpause the video and we'll do it together. Okay, 9 times 2 is 18, so I put down an 8. I carry a 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 gives me an 8 here, and I carry a 2. And then 9 times 4 gives me 36, 37, 38. So I put that down here next to my other 2. Okay, put your comma in, and this is inches. And this time, so if you remember, this was inches squared, this 432, and this 9 is just inches. So when you have inches squared multiplied by another dimension in inches, we get inches cubed. So really, these three numbers, length, width, height, 1, 2, 3, that's why we have inches cubed with a little 3 up here for our volume for tank A. Okay, so what this refers to, obviously volume is a measure of how much stuff can go inside. So this would be the amount of space inside of that tank. And so what we'll do is I'll give you so for example, maybe a fish takes up 100 cubic inches of space. So if we took this number, this 3,888, and divided that by 100, we could figure out how many fish could live in our tank that way. And we'll do a little bit of that later on this week. We're going to do one more fish tank today before our lesson's over. So I'm going to click over to this page here. You'll notice this one's a little trickier. All right, so this picture over here, there's a lot going on. So we're going to make sure and break that down before we get to finding our dimensions. But we'll start with area again. Okay. This is why we have the top view here. This is important because looking at this, it's really hard to tell whether the space here is the same or a different size as the space here. By looking at it here, it's like we've taken a snapshot of the floor looking straight down and shown it to you with the dimensions. So it'll be much easier for us when we go to calculate our area. Okay, so for this top one here, all right, we've got 16 times 6.5. And I'm going to write 6.5 as 6.5 times 16. Okay. Now remember, when we have a decimal, we move that decimal to the end, one bunny hop, and we'll deal with that, bringing that bunny hop back when we have our answer. So go ahead and multiply through. When you have your answer, go ahead and hit play, and we'll continue on with this problem together. Okay, so we're going to start in the ones place, and we're going to do 6 times 5, which gives me 30. 6 times 6 is 36, plus the 3 we carried gives me 39. New line means a magic 0. 1 times, let me cross this one off quick because we already added that in. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 6 is 6. Now we need to add these up. And 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 5 is 14, so I put a 4 and I carry the 1. 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 1 is 10, and that gives us 1,040. Now, that is not our area. That is only the area of this part of the fish tank. And I should include my units. This would be inches squared. I'll put my inches squared here as well. Okay, so now I'm going to switch colors so that the black ink goes with the black area, and then over here the purple ink will go with the purple area. So down here, again, we have 10.5, and I'm going to write that as 10.5. And the only reason I use the word point is so you know I'm putting a decimal. It'd be 10 and 5/10 if we were reading that correctly. Multiplied by 20. If you wanted to put the 20 on top because of the 0, that's fine, but either way will work. I'm going to do it like this. Again, we need to move our decimal point to the end. One bunny hop. All right, and then we multiply. So 0 times 5. And go ahead and pause, work through it, and then come back. So 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0, and 0 times 1 is still 0. New line means another magic 0. I'm going to make our page a little longer here. 2 times 5 is 10, which gives us another 0 and a carry 1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, and 2 times 1 is 2. Add these up. 0 plus 0, 0. 0 plus 0, 0. 0 plus 1 is 1, and 2 plus nothing up here is 2. Now, do not forget to move your decimal point back 1 bunny hop. Gives us 210 inches squared. Like that. And now, if we add those together, we will get our, oh, I made a mistake. I forgot to move the bunny hop back in this one. Shame on me. How many of you caught that? I'm sure you did. So if we move this bunny hop back, this is going to be 104. Let me get the black ink. Oof, glad I caught that. That would have been a tragedy. That changes our answer a little bit. So if that confused you, I apologize, but I'm not going to start the video over just for that. But anyways, okay, now we have our two areas of these two rectangles, and now we need to add them up. So 210 plus 104. 0 plus 4 is 4. 1 plus 0 is 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Always double check your work. I think we look good there. And this will be inches squared because this is representing the area of both of these rectangles. So this would be our area. Okay, now, looking back to the original shape, let me make a copy of this. We'll hop to the next page. Okay, so now we have our area of 314 inches squared. And we need to multiply it by the height, which is right here, and it is 10. So if you think about that, that's a pretty easy multiplication problem. Because when we multiply by 10, what we're really doing is we're moving. So if this is our number, 314 wholes and 0 tenths, if we would move the decimal one place like this, essentially adding that 0, multiplying by 10, 314 times 10 gives us a volume. Shouldn't do it that way, got that backwards. Gives us a volume of 3,140 inches cubed. All right, so at this point, we're going to stop for today. Tomorrow we'll do 2 more fish tanks, and then there'll be some more instructions on Wednesday for how you're going to actually get to plan out your own fish tank. All right, go ahead and just comment done on the post for today because there's not really anything that I am asking you to do at this point. Make sure you are submitting all your work for this week. Keep up with that. You guys are doing an awesome job. I miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you again, hopefully soon. But yeah, hang in there. You guys are doing great.